Welcome to the Frontline Herbalism podcast with your host Nicole Rose from the Solidarity Apothecary. This is your place for all things plants and liberation. Let's get started. Hello, welcome back to the Frontline Herbalism podcast. I have a new cable for my microphone. Thank God I didn't need to buy a new mic. So hopefully the sound quality will be back to normal. Today, I'm just sharing an interview I did last week with a really awesome independent kind of radio show and podcast called Radio Wombat, who are in Italy. And yeah, I kept rescheduling for fucking ages, but it was so good to finally make it happen and speak with Addu and get just the opportunity to talk about the Solidarity Apothecary as a whole. So we talked about what I was doing before the apothecary, how it started, how it's kind of built over time, the different offerings. They were quite curious about my clinical training and what that looks like what does one-to-one herbal support look like? How do we produce the medicines? All the other things. So I hope you enjoy listening to it. They're going to do a translation of it into Italian soon. And this is their kind of edited version. So there's some music and stuff like that. And just a cheeky reminder that the Herbalism, PTSD and Traumatic Stress course is open for exactly 1 more week. And then it will not be open again until the autumn. So I'm going to try and get on to do another podcast this week. But if you haven't checked it out, please check out the course. It's fucking my main body of work. It's all about herbal support for people experiencing trauma and chronic stress. We look at the politics of trauma and what's involved. We look at all the basics of herbal medicine, energetics and herbal safety and, what to harvest, when to harvest. And then go into a lot of detail about nervines, so plants with an affinity for the nervous system. And no one is turned away for lack of funds. So anyone is able to join it with a code on the website. And people that do pay, all of those funds go to sustaining the Solidarity Apothecary. So, sustaining my livelihood and, I'm a single mom with a baby and all of that stuff. But really the most of the money goes on, everything I'm doing. So herbal care packages to people experiencing state violence, thousands of books to prisoners, the Black Flag Herbal Clinic, offering one-to-one support for free to comrades around the world. This podcast, all the different stuff I do, enabling me to, keep organizing with the Mobile Herbal Clinic Calais and medicine making and stuff like that. So so please check it out, join if you're interested. And thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this interview. Take care.
Hello, Nicole, and I'm so happy to have you here. It's so nice to finally interview you. We've already talked about some of your projects, in particular the Prisoners Herbal here in Nervature, but also in some other broadcasts in the radio, in Wombat Radio. And today, so we have you here, so I'm so glad of this. And so I'd like to take some time to just ask you about something about your life, but mainly about your projects, your work and your beliefs. So I would just start as if you want to introduce yourself, to say whatever you want, maybe how you got in touch with plants, what are your studies about herbalism, and I give you the microphone.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for contacting me and for sharing the work already. I'm Nicole. I live in the southwest of England, and I am an anarchist organizer. From very, very young, from 10 years old, I discovered kind of anarchism. And then I was active in many struggles, most particularly animal liberation. And then I went to prison. I got 3.5 year sentence when I was 21. which is a long time ago now. I'm like nearly 40. But yeah, it was in prison that I really built this relationship with plants and started connecting with plants in the prison gardens and studying them. I got some funding to do like a course in herbalism. And then, yeah, when I got out, I just, became more and more passionate and doing a lot of medicine making and growing and getting involved in different like land projects. And then, yeah, a long time went by. I was mostly active in like prisoner support stuff and like anti-prison struggles. And I got very, very, very fucking burnt out, which I know lots of people experience. And then this experience made me really interested in herbalism because I was very, very ill. And so I started learning more about herbalism in terms of like recovery from chronic illness, from trauma, from PTSD. And so then I started this project called the Solidarity Apothecary. And the apothecary supports people experiencing state violence. So yeah, that's a big a big description, but basically I send books to prisoners, or like a team of us send books to prisoners around the world. This prisoner's herbal book that you've talked about on the show before. I make medicine and care packages for people experiencing repression, for prisoner family members. For 4 years, I was going to France with a project called the Mobile Herbal Clinic, and which still happens now. We was doing like herbal first aid and healthcare with refugees and people on the move. And yeah, I also have I'm part of an anarchist free clinic called the Black Flag Herbal Clinic. And I also support people one-to-one with their health issues and health challenges. And I do a lot of that with a sliding scale. And and then I also like run these online courses for people to learn about trauma and about herbalism for free if needed. Like no one is turned away for lack of funds. I also have a podcast called the Frontline Herbalism podcast. And but basically it's all about herbalism and state violence. And personally, I have a little baby who is nearly 2. And I think that's a brief introduction to all of the things.
Yeah, that's amazing, all the things you do actually. So, well, everything connected with plants, of course. So I would like to focus just to start this like conversation about plants, like how you said you got in touch with plants mainly when you were in prison. So as I understood, this was the moment when you started to really feel maybe the need also of plants. And if you can like explain us a little more about this connection, when and how it started.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, with this prison experience, like I was very naive, and I thought that going to prison would mean that I would have like no connection to the land anymore. Like I'd, grown up very active for animal liberation. Like it was really the time when people were like super active for like earth liberation, like earth first stuff, like green anarchism. So like, like I was always in a strong relationship, I think, with the land. But it wasn't until I was in prison where I guess I had like the time to really slow the fuck down and like build relationships one-to-one with plants. And I remember, walking into prison, like, once I had been in the court and all of this shit, and seeing like all these fucking dandelions, like, just like along the side of the concrete path, and kind of like laughing to myself of like, wow, what a fucking idiot. I thought that I wouldn't see a fucking plant again for however many years I was expecting. And there I was, and even in this fucking prison with 500 women, like, and the concrete, there was actually like amazing plants like growing in the concrete, or we had these like little kind of like patches of grass, and like there was some like bigger courtyard of flowers, like of roses, and like I got a job in the prison because you kind of like have to work. Well, you don't have to, but if you don't, you just end up being locked in your cell like 24 fucking hours, which is shit. But I got a job in the prison gardens, which meant that like you have to quote unquote weed, where you're like pulling out plants. And so I was like obviously rubbish at this and didn't want to do it, but I liked being outside. And it was through this that I would, just begin this very practical relationship with plants. So, tasting the leaves and bringing like the root back to my pillow, to my cells, so that I could sleep with this herb like under my pillow to make me feel, safer. And I made like teas, and, like I couldn't make all this like sexy fucking, tinctures and all of this stuff, but I could every day sit outside with a plant, as much as I could for like, okay, maybe it was only 20 minutes that we had of freedom outside. Well, not freedom, but you know what I mean, like in this prison courtyard. But it meant that like I would see the same plant like through every season, like in the winter, in the spring, in the summer. And it was this like intimacy that was like very different to me than anything I had experienced, in terms of like, just kind of really getting to know the herb, how it tasted, like its medicinal actions, experimenting like in every way possible, but with just like a few plants, like the Prisoner's Herbal contains like 10 plant profiles. And these were like the 10 plants that I really connected with like deeply over 2 years pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, so you have some companions, let's say, the plants. You could find them there. They were there as you were, so you were together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But how could you know what leaves to taste and which ones no? Because a lot of plants are edible, but not all of them. So did you know already something about it?
Well, so I was like really fucking lucky to be with like other people who knew about herbalism. So there was like one woman from Scotland called Helen who, she was like in her 70s and she was a gardener her whole life. So she was telling me about the plants. And there was 2 women who are from this like traveler background who still have like a good relationship with herbalism. So they would also teach me things. And then I got like a grant, like some financial support to do like a distance learning course in herbalism. And then once I started studying, like that was it. Like I was just fucking obsessed,
So okay, we we skip to the next question I was gonna ask you. So how did you learn? How did you study? So you was saying that you started when you were in prison already, right? Yeah. Okay. And then so you started there, and then you continued. I mean, how you can speak of yourself as a herbalist?
Sure. So it was a lot of this like distance learning courses. And then in England, there's like quite a like specific system where like people can do like a degree in herbal medicine. But to do this degree, you have to have like a criminal record check, because it's like classified as a healthcare profession. And the organization didn't want to let me study because they said I would bring herbalism into disrepute. So basically I would kind of like embarrass herbalism or something. Do you know what I mean? So for a long fucking time, I didn't pursue this kind of like formal clinical training because I was so fucking angry that they wouldn't let me study because of my history. But, I also didn't want to like be part of this kind of like establishment style organizing. Do you know what I mean? Because, I'm a fucking anarchist, and like I didn't say to the judge that I had any fucking remorse. So like, why would I say to this herbal medicine organization that I show remorse? Like, this is what they wanted. They wanted me to like write this statement saying that like I will like never like threaten the herbal profession again, which, you know, hopefully I do that every day of the fucking week with the Solidarity Apothecary. But I just, yeah, I thought that I would be this like DIY herbalist for, you know, forever. But then I eventually kept getting frustrated with my lack of knowledge in certain things, like most especially this like clinical side. And then I can't remember what year, but basically I found the school in Ireland who I studied with called the Plant Medicine School. And it was very similar to the UK program, like 4 years. Like, I think it was like, I can't remember how many like thousands of hours, but it was like really fucking comprehensive training. And I, you know, they knew me, they knew about like my work and stuff. And they were just like, fuck yeah, like come and study with us. So I was super grateful to find a school that was like supportive of my politics and enabling me of like doing my clinical training. And yeah, it's from that training that it's given me the confidence to support people like one-to-one. But yeah, with herbal medicine, it's like you're gonna be learning for a whole fucking lifetime, you know? And like,
Yeah, I know.
like, I don't think it's like, oh, you do this course and it makes you like a good herbalist, like at all. Like, I think it's, you know, it's like one tool to develop your knowledge and your skills and to have like mentoring and support. But really, like, since I finished my clinical training, like, fuck me, like, I am still like studying like all the time, like reading all the time, doing online courses, like doing this further learning, because there is just so much to learn, which is fucking amazing, and is probably why I'm like passionate about herbalism for so long. But yeah, it's really like this lifelong relationship.
Yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, I can understand, even if I'm not studying herbalism, I would say, just studying gardening, which even this is so difficult and so big, like a huge subject. So I can understand we never stop learning. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
sure.
okay, so then what happened when you got out from prison? Like, what about herbalism and all your projects? What what was what happened next? And if you started with Solidarity Apothecary just after you got out from prison, or some time passed meanwhile?
Yeah, it was like several years. Like I got out when I was like 22, I think, or 23, 22, and I started the apothecary. I don't know. Sorry, my brain is gone. I think I started the apothecary in 2018. Oh my God. So like, yeah. Fuck,
Yeah.
I had no idea it'd been this long. But, you know, for a few years with the apothecary, like I still had, you know, like another job, and it was just like, yeah, like one of many projects. And over the time, it's become like bigger and bigger. And like, it was only in 2023 that I like started to take like a wage from the apothecary, because I launched this like online course. So yeah, it's only since then that it's become like this really full-time thing for me. But yeah, after prison, I was like, because also in prison, I also studied like horticulture and like food production. So when I got out, I was like quite active in this group called Reclaim the Fields, and we were doing a lot of stuff around like land and like food autonomy, kind of like food sovereignty struggles, and like solidarity with like peasants around the world. And yeah, like I really loved this, and I was very passionate about it, and I started like a workers cooperative, and we were doing like community food training and stuff. But because I'm like, I have this like animal liberation background and I'm vegan, I did find it very difficult, because a lot of people were farming animals, and it just became too difficult for me to feel like political affinity with people. And I found that I was becoming like more and more passionate about herbalism, and my life was so dominated by the prison system and this like prisoner solidarity work that eventually it just became like, right, I just have to focus on these things. And then I chose to focus on herbal medicine and on prisoner support, basically. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I can understand your point of view. Yeah, about the animals or the farmers. Yeah, makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
okay. So, if you, I'd like to ask you, if you can tell us how the Solidarity Apothecary just born, if there was like a moment, an episode, or a decision, a strong decision, and if you started this project on your own, or if someone else was with you.
Yeah, so I remember that exact moment. I
Wow.
was
Okay, tell us.
I was in my car outside of my friend's prison, and I would drive 4.5 hours every Sunday to visit her, and then drive 4.5 hours home. And she had cancer at the time and was really ill. And my other friend in prison was like really fucking suicidal. Like, he eventually died in prison. But like, I was just like so fucking like tired and broken of meeting like all of these prisoner family members like every weekend who had similar lives to me, and seeing the impact of the stress on their bodies. And I was so lucky that I had access to herbal medicine and that I could support myself, and that I was like just feeling like, I guess, a lot stronger than many other people because of this fucking privilege and access to medicine. But I just remember feeling like, yeah, I want to fucking start a project that is like specifically for prisoner family members. And I had a little notebook and I wrote down, I was like thinking of names, and I wrote down like Solidarity Apothecary. And then that was it. I was just like, fuck. And, you know, I do everything like too fast. So like within like a month, I was like building the website and like
Wow.
fucking, you know, getting my friend to make the logo and this stuff. But yeah, like I had already spent like several years supporting people kind of like informally with medicine. Like, yeah, like there's like a local chapter of like the Anarchist Black Cross, which is like a network all over the world of people supporting anarchists and people experiencing repression. And, you know, I would be sending different people in this network like herbal medicine. And I just decided that I wanted to make it like its own project. But yeah, this time I also like, unfortunately, my like I was getting like very kind of I don't know. I was struggling in groups after, you know, fucking like 20 years of like collectives and this, you know, you'll know all this stuff, but like the shit dynamics, like the classism, the sexism, like how people take you for granted, like the fucking unpaid labor. Like, I was so fucking done with like these shitty collectives and being treated badly, and this like burnout machine that was like burning everyone out, that like I just decided like I want to do this on my own. As a kind of like source of like nourishment and pleasure. And I think that was like the best decision I ever made. And it meant that the apothecary became something that was like full of fucking joy for me, and creativity and power in terms of like connection to the land. And I could just be like myself somehow. And because, you know, like I had a lot of like trauma growing up, like trust issues, like abandonment issues, like, so like I'm still, you know, involved in a lot of collectives, and you know, nearly all of the work with the Solidarity Apothecary, I'm working with other people like all the time. But yeah, it just felt so fucking nice to do something as this kind of like solo project. And yeah, and it's, you know, it's still me that does like most of the work, but I work with people like all over the world, which is fucking awesome. And, you know, like I believe in collectivity and that we have to do things together. But I also think it's totally okay for people to do work on their own, you know, like whether that's writing or music or gardening or like whatever. Like I think humans need to be able to explore themselves as like individuals. And I feel like for me, this is like what anarchism offers. It's like this balance between collectivity and collective needs while not repressing like individuality. And yeah, and so I feel like the apothecary is like my expression of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, a lot. That's that's very interesting, very really amazing, and yeah, yeah, it does make sense. um, it actually gives me a lot of things to think. So now I'm okay. Let's make another question, but you know,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Mm, yeah, yeah, no, it's really interesting actually, the thing of keeping the uh, authenticity. Do you say that?
Mm-hmm.
Of
Yep.
of our own being and our own way of living as well. So
Mm.
yeah. Um. Okay. So now let's talk about commercial. No, I'm joking. But like, I would like to do a focus about how can how can people use the your like the Solidarity Apothecary? So what do you offer to people? What kind of herbal support, and how is it structured? And yeah, what kind of clinic and herbal support do you offer?
Sure. So yeah, there's lots of different things.
Okay.
But like one of the main things is these herbal care packages. So these are free, like anyone can request them. And I make them for people experiencing repression and prisoner family members and hunt sabs, which are like a group of people like who sabotage like fox hunts and stuff in the UK. And also people involved in like grassroots groups organizing for liberation in different ways, and also like sites of resistance, you know, like land occupations or protest camps, things like this. So there's like an online form and people fill it in with their address. I check if they're on any like medication or there's like any risk of like pregnancy, things like this. And then I send them a package. So it contains like herbs for like supporting the nervous system and the immune system. So it's often about helping people like cope with something difficult without getting sick. You know, especially if they're doing like something through the winter. And I also make amazing like lavender oil with olive oil from the West Bank in Palestine. And I do like a tea blend. So yeah, so all the packs are like a little bit different, but they are like I fundraise for them and they get sent to people like all over the world. Like for example, recently like a bunch of medicine went to people in the so-called US who are like resisting ICE, like resisting these fucking fascists who are like deporting people and, you know, detaining them. And so like I sent some packages to people that are like super active in resisting this. I've sent like packs to people who are doing like medic work on like migrant like solidarity kind of ships and things, like people doing like hunt sabotage. Yeah, just like all sorts of people request them and I send them. So that's like one big part. And then the prisoners' herbal books, like we've mentioned, anyone can request them around the world and we send them for free. So there's an amazing crew called Midwest Books to Prisoners who post them out in the US. And then there's like several translated editions. So it's in like Romanian and, as you know, Italian.
Yeah.
The French version is coming very soon. I feel like it's in other languages and my brain's gone Spanish. Yeah. So a friend has been distributing it a lot in like Mexico and Chile, and another comrade in like across the like Spanish states. So yeah, so again, this is like another offering. And then, yeah, with my clinic, so I have like a couple of options. So there's this Black Flag Herbal Clinic, which is like an anarchist free clinic, and we see people online. At the moment, it's mostly me, and there's lots of people involved who are kind of learning herbalism, who like watch the consultation, and then together we put together this like list of kind of herbal recommendations. And then if the comrade is happy, then I will make the medicine for them and post it to them. So that's available to anyone around the world for free who kind of identifies as an anarchist. And through that clinic, like, people don't have to have students. If they just want privacy with me, then we can just do it like together. And then, because, you know, like, I'm a single mom with a baby and like fucking capitalism, right? Like, I need money as well. So I also have a clinic for people that can pay, but it's still like sliding scale, but they can work with me for 5 months and I send the medicine to last that whole time. And it's super fucking holistic, like looking at all sorts of like interconnected health issues. And yeah, I fucking love that. It's like my favorite thing to do, because I just see people have like so much less pain and inflammation and recover from literally lifelong fucking anxiety. And yeah, it's really, really special, really lush work that I love. And then, yeah, I guess what kind of like makes all of this stuff possible are like my online courses. So I teach a course about herbal medicine and trauma and like PTSD, and it's super, super comprehensive. It's open for enrollment at the moment. And people join that from around the world, and, you know, they can pay for it, or they can pay like via like a small amount each month. And it's also like free for anyone who cannot afford to pay for it because of fucking capitalism and poverty and everything else. So yeah, I'm very fucking grateful that that course like funds like 90% of what I do. So if anyone listening, unfortunately it is obviously in English, but one day we'll have it translated with different languages. But yeah, if anyone is interested in learning herbalism, like, they can join that. And it's like, yeah, very structured, looking at like trauma and the body and medicine making and how to build relationship with plants. And there's like 32 in-depth profiles on like specific herbs that have a strong relationship with the nervous system. So yeah, so that's the main kind of offerings.
Okay. Talking again about that course, like how long is it, and is it in group, or is like a class with other people?
No, so it's like completely pre-recorded, so people can complete it at their own pace and just like watch. It's like online videos, and you can download the slides. And I really didn't want to create something that involved a lot of extra work for people who are struggling with PTSD. Like, I wanted to create something that was like very calm and easy to do and at your own pace. And like, the feedback I've had on that is like fucking epic. Like, people love that they can just do it when they want to do it. I forgot to say, I also facilitate these group programs, which are like more involved. So like, they're for people who are experiencing repression, or I recently did one for people experiencing burnout from, you know, being involved in different struggles. And with those programs, we meet every 2 weeks. We have a group call, we have a group chat, and then people also have like individual herbal support to just take things away from that like one-to-one focus to like group collective care. So yeah, I do those programs like through the year as well. As if I'm not already busy enough. I really like it. So.
Yeah. And do you do all those activities like always online? Or, for example, this group program, is it, how do you say, like in presence? I don't know how do you say it in English.
Yeah, so those group programs are online, but I forgot another thing.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
I also teach these face-to-face medicine making courses twice a year, and a third of the people that come get a free place. Like if they are experiencing like financial distress or poverty, then they can come for free, and then the other people pay. And yeah, it's like 3 days of like all the practical medicine making, like harvesting, making tinctures, glycerites, infused oils, ointments. And yeah, it's tons of fucking fun. Like it's really nice experience. Like the group is always fucking great people. My assistant who I now pay to be my assistant, is actually like an Italian comrade who came to one.
Nice.
So yeah, it's funny. But yeah.
Okay. Wow, nice. Let's see. I'd like to ask you about the PTSD, because you also, from your website of the Solidarity Apothecary, you talk about it very often, and you spend a lot of times and programs to deal with this. So I would really, for now, ask you, what is it? Because also we don't talk about this a lot in Italy. So, yeah, I kind of think that maybe we have two different perceptions of this problem, maybe in Italy and in England, or I don't know if I'm right, but yeah, so let's talk about it. If you can explain us what it is and also how you deal with this.
Sure. So I use the phrase PTSD, like post-traumatic stress disorder, only because it's like culturally known. I don't believe it is like a quote unquote disorder. Like I don't believe in this kind of like oppressive tool of like labeling people with different disorders, for example.
Of course.
But I just use it because it's familiar, to be honest. And I talk about this in the course. Like we look at the definition and blah, blah, blah. But basically what I'm trying to talk about on a bigger level is how our bodies are obviously shaped by all of our life experiences, like good ones, bad ones, like all of the things, like how we grow up, like our nutrition, like the levels of stress in our lives, like, whether we smoke or drink alcohol, like so many forces shape our bodies and constantly influence how we are feeling, right? And contribute to the development of diseases, for example, including this like genetic, like intergenerational things, like if someone in your history has had a experience of famine, then like, or starvation, like this is felt like several generations later in the like metabolic like system, for example. So there's all these things that affect people. But trauma, which I define as like a kind of like distressing like experience, or like an injuring experience, like this also has like a big influence on someone's body, most dramatically on the kind of stress response and our like hormonal systems of if we are becoming in this state of like fight or flight, where historically you might be chased by a fucking tiger or a bear or something and be extremely frightened and have a lot of adrenaline and stress hormones that are necessary to keep you safe and keep you running from the bear. But when we are living in like our societies now, like we don't have a bear, but like, well, some places still have bears, but like actually it's like the police are the fucking bear, or like the prison system, or the abusive fucking father, or the fucking rapist. Like there's all these other factors of oppression that are kind of very real influences on our bodies. And unfortunately, like this has like real consequences for people, whether that's like I talk about it in the course, like how our bodies like express distress in different ways, and that might be sleep disturbances because we have too high levels of cortisol or something. So we're waking up in the night. It might be nightmares. It might be like flashbacks or triggers. It might be like extreme like tension in the body. Like maybe it's the digestive system, like having like nervous diarrhea or constipation or whatever. But like we all experience stress, and that comes out in our bodies. And the best part of herbal medicine is that like there is support for those stress responses to make us feel like more safe and to repair like damage caused by trauma and caused by these events, and not just events, but like ways of living in the world. But specific PTSD I see when a trauma response is somehow like stuck in the body. So for example, like, my experiences in prison were like fucking horrible, as is for any prisoner. But when I get out, I'm no longer in prison, but I'm still seeing images in my head of people trying to hang themselves, or I'm still feeling unsafe in the world, or I'm still having like nightmares about being trapped in a fucking cell and not being able to get out. And this is when like something does actually become like disordered, if that makes sense, because it's not necessary to have those feelings anymore because you are like quote unquote safe, even though, safety is a weird fucking thing. Like you could still end up back in prison, right? Like, so you're not completely free of this, but I try and support people with herbal medicine to kind of like move through this distress and to build a feeling of safety in the world. And I think when people's relationship to other people is fucking like destroyed by trauma, like they don't trust people, they don't feel safe, then plant medicines can be fucking incredible because we can have a relationship that feels safer. You can have a relationship with a plant, you can feel like in this relaxed nervous system state. That's why a lot of people end up loving things like gardening, because it makes them feel calm, and it makes them feel resourced and connected to the world, and they forget about all the fucking horrible things. And that's what I think herbalism offers. Like, it's the act of herbalism, it's the foraging, it's the medicine making, it's the growing. Like, all of these activities help the body to feel like safer and to feel more alive and connected and more joyful. And for people who've experienced like hardcore fucking trauma, there is nothing more life-changing than having access to something that enables you to experience a different reality. Sorry, that was a really long answer, but does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense so much. It's a perfect answer. Like, yeah. Yeah, sorry. It's touching. So, maybe it's sorry, I cannot find the word. Obvious. Yeah, maybe it's an obvious question, but so in all the like clinic or group programs, or even the online courses, everything you do, so you explain and talk about the herbal medicines, but I imagine you also do some like psychological support in some way, as you've as you said, everything about the stress and the repression, as the problem comes from repression. Of course, we can help it with plants and herbalism, but do you also talk about the how to manage it psychologically with your clients? I don't know how to call people who work with you. Yeah.
So like, this is actually why I created the herbalism and PTSD course, because it was really, really clear to me that people like benefit more from like having an understanding of their own body and having a language for it than anything that I can do for them, like being able to study and understand the nervous system and understand, oh, this is me when I'm in like fight or flight. And when I'm in fight or flight, I don't want physical touch. I don't want to eat. I don't want to sleep. So how can I help myself feel more like rested and safe and social? Like, no fucking herb I can give someone or consultation like can ever replace someone having their own fucking like autonomy and understanding of their body. And that's why like I'm so passionate about the education, is because like for me, like I just feel like I spent like my childhood and my 20s just like fucking bouncing around, like being a dickhead, like harming people, harming myself, like because I had no language for what I was experiencing. Like I didn't know how to feel kind of like safe, if that makes sense. And I feel like, yeah, that's why it's really powerful for me to like offer that in the course. And also to offer everything in like an interconnected way. So like there is, for example, a module about like collective responses to traumatic stress, because like I can do a lot of like self-education around the nervous system and work with plants and like all this amazing stuff, but like if my fucking friend is being like tortured in solitary confinement in fucking prison, then like I need like collective support with that. We need a fucking campaign, we need to like fight for them, they need support, like. So it's kind of like we have to like address the root causes of trauma, if that makes sense. Like we have to address why children are fucking oppressed, like why we have this endemic of childhood abuse. We have to address like fucking patriarchy and heteronormativity and like all of these things. Like there's one thing, like kind of, I don't want to say like treating trauma, because I don't see it like that, but we have to also fucking prevent it, right? And we have to stop it. So that's why, yeah, like the education stuff is so important, is because it's not one or the other. It's not like, oh, I just want to support all these people leaving prison with their PTSD through herbalism. It's like, I want to stop them building fucking more prisons, and I want
Yes, of
to
course.
like, yeah. So anyway, I feel like most people listening will understand that, but yeah. So like, for example, with my clients, like I'm not like doing any sort of like counseling or anything like this, but like I am always obviously like listening to them and their experiences and what's happened, so I can understand like what herbal medicine might be supportive. But I always encourage people to like access as much fucking care as possible, like whether that's like a talking therapy or herbalism or like like a signal group of their friends offering like collective support. Like, yeah, we need, we fucking need it all, really.
Yeah, that's why before you were saying about holistic approach, I suppose.
Yeah.
The true holistic, it's not just the different types of medicine, but it's also the reality of things and how countries and politics work, of course. Yeah, that's everything so interesting and so touching and so important. I'm so happy we are doing this interview. Yeah. Okay, so before you talked about getting in touch with plants makes you feel calm, relaxed, makes you feel better because you get in touch actually with nature and with the real world. And so I'm curious about if you've seen a difference, like an important difference of this process of getting in touch with plants between the face-to-face course, the practical course that you do, you said twice a year, and for example, the people who use the PTSD traumatic stress course and all the other online courses you do.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think like I encourage in the online course that people develop like a practice with plants that involves like something like physical as much as they're able, in terms of their body. Whether that's like sitting outside with a plant or getting involved in a community garden. Like I think that like embodied relationship is just like the most important thing. And yeah, like when people come to the face-to-face course, like you can see this like life-changing impact on seeing a herb for the first time that they've only read about in the course. Like a lot of people who come have done the online course. So then for them, they're like, wow, like I'm fucking tasting like lemon balm, or I'm like tasting this rose medicine, or, I'm sitting under a hawthorn tree, maybe for the first time in their fucking life, But yeah, I always think this like physical, tangible, like body experience is like, yeah, super amazing.
Okay. Hawthorn, sorry, I was Googling it. Yeah, I know this plant. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting as well. Yeah, I'd also like to remember that people are listening to us that in the Prisoner's Herbal there is also a very nice part, I think one of the last chapters or something like that, where you talk about getting in touch with plants, how you did it, like how it happened to you to get in touch with them, and how you recommend, let's say, to do it, to try it. So it's a very interesting thing, just getting to know plants as if they were, they are really alive, so as if they could be our friends as well, and our allies. Okay. Well, I'd like to ask you, how do you how do you say, make produce your the plant medicines you use and you give to people, like who harvests and who produce them?
Yeah, so I guess there's like two versions. There's like pre-baby Nicole, who would like fucking do everything. Like I would be harvesting and growing and doing like so much like work on the land in terms of like foraging and walking for miles, like all of this stuff. And then since having my baby, it's just so much fucking harder. Like when he's big enough to walk with me, like he can walk, but as in like if we go outside, he just wants to fucking run off,
Yeah.
But when he's bigger, like when he can just like help harvest medicine with me, then I'm just sorry, I'm just getting distracted. 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, but so anyway, it's just harder at the moment. So like now I am having to like buy more plants, like often from like local growers, which is really nice. But like there's like an organic herb trading company who I buy like organic dried herbs from, and then I make things called glycerites, which are like herbs in like organic vegetable glycerin, and I make them in like a slow cooker. In fact, I have several slow cookers. I have a whole fucking building of slow cookers that are like making medicine. So it's a mix. Unfortunately, with my practice at the moment, I am buying more things than I've ever done, simply from like not having enough time. But like this year, one of my goals is like really to have like more kind of collectivity with medicine making, like having more people come, which is why I like started this Black Flag Herbal Clinic, because then it can become this like real collective process. Because like I just felt uncomfortable someone paying me for help and then being dependent on like unpaid labor. Like it didn't feel good. Whereas if I can have like a separate project that's like just free medicine for people, then I'm like very happy to like receive that like help. Does that make any sense? Fucking capitalism. But the short answer is like I try my hardest to make as much medicine as I can, and anything that I can't make, I will try and buy from, like comrades or from suppliers that, have some kind of integrity in capitalism. It's a bit difficult, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I can just imagine how big is the work of making all these medicines. Like I think it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, I've started paying like a couple of people to help just for like 4 or 5 days, like to just make loads at once. And this is helping a lot, like with these herbal care packages, which have like I'm just distributing like hundreds, like if not like thousands, like each year. So yeah, like it is difficult, especially with with a toddler. But, I'm getting there. So
okay. Okay, then I'd like to, maybe we change a little sorry, this not really the subject, but the place of the story. So before you talked very few about when you went to the in France, in the frontier. No, what's the name of that?
Like the border.
Yeah, border. Okay, thanks you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to talk about this a little, in like how was all the thing working, and you're not doing it anymore, if I understood.
Yeah, so I'm still like very involved in
Yeah.
the project,
Okay.
like doing like fundraising and medicine making.
Okay.
Like I make like all the cough syrup and stuff, but yeah, I haven't been able to go
Okay.
sadly and like work in the clinic like myself because of the baby. But yeah, so the Mobile Herbal Clinic Calais is like a monthly. We try and go every month, but it's often really difficult, like financially, to do that. But it's normally 1 week a month, working in Calais and Dunkirk, like in northern France, and we have a team of like a doctor and like more, like three herbalists. Sometimes we have someone who's just working like as a translator. But we basically have a van and we drive to the different like encampments in the area and offer like first aid. So we have an internal station where we're supporting people with things like coughs and colds and upper respiratory infections and like short-term like GI problems like diarrhea. And then we have like an external aid station where we're doing like wound care and foot care for people that have, like fungal infections and stuff in their feet. And yeah, it's all like in solidarity with people on the move who are living in these fucking awful conditions because of like the fucking state and fucking racism and this border regime violence. So yeah, you see like a lot of injuries from, police violence and people, nearly fucking drowning, like trying to get to the UK and stuff. So it's very fucking like intense, but the people that we serve like fucking love herbal medicine, like because they nearly all come from places where there's like much bigger traditions of herbal medicine. So this is really nice, like this, having these conversations about plants and herbs and yeah, and we make like all the medicine ourselves. And yeah, it's like it's a big fucking project. Like it's expensive to run and involves a lot of grassroots organizing and training and yeah, lots of stress over the years, especially during the pandemic. But I think it is like a beautiful fucking example of herbal solidarity, because all of these herbal medicines are like very effective in these contexts, like preventing someone's cough or cold from becoming like more serious, from developing into like fucking pneumonia or something. And we can offer a lot of like amazing support with like wound healing for people that have, got like infected bites and things from living outside. So yeah, like I think it's amazing example of solidarity, but it's also a really great example of like herbal medicine in action, like in this context. So yeah, I'm still like super passionate about it, and one day when my child is a bit bigger, I will be back working in France, I'm sure. But yeah.
Okay. When you say, I mean, how long do people stay in there? I mean, are they just passing by, so they're like doing one night over there to continue their travel the day after, hopefully, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very varied. So some people it's like quite fast. Like if someone has like some money, for example, that can pay like a person to help them get space on a boat, then maybe they are only staying like in the camps like a few nights. For other people, they can be living there for like fucking years, like, and having to do things like sex work and stuff in order to like survive. And like unfortunately this is like very racialized. Like it's often the guys like from like Sudan, for example, that have like no fucking money. So like for them to try and like pay someone to cross is like really fucking difficult compared to someone with like maybe some more financial resources. So So yeah, so it's not uncommon that you will go 1 month and then the next month you will see the same people. And through that time, they've been trying to fucking cross, you know, like trying to get into lorries or, you know, like trying to get boats and like things like this. And like, you know, I've met like entire families who have then fucking died like 1 week later, like including a family with their baby. Like, and I fucking met this baby and then 1 week later, like this baby's in the bottom of the fucking sea, you know, like it's just fucking like, it's like, I'm sure lots of people listening have probably done like refugee solidarity, but like it is so fucking harrowing, like what people are like subjected to and like how they're having to live and like the conditions, like the life-threatening risks they take trying to get to like the UK, you know, like we've seen like people who've been like literally fucking tortured like in Libya, and you know, people who've been like have only got like one leg because they like had their leg blown off by the fucking Taliban, or like, you know, like it's just so much like fucking violence that is just like really fucking intense. And like the police in France are like, I mean, police everywhere are like fucking scum, right? But like these guys are like so violent, like that we just see like so much police violence. So yeah, anyway, it's so yeah, people are there like different lengths of time.
Okay. And when you say you go there, or you used to go there once a month, it means you go there for like some days, once a month, and then you come back?
Yeah, it would be like a whole week and then we'd come back to the UK. Like we talked a lot about like whether we could maintain like a longer presence, but like the problem is like because we make all of the medicine ourselves, it would cost like £3,000 just for like 5 days, because you see like hundreds of people. So like to do that like every day of the year, like we would need fucking like probably like, you know, tens of thousands of pounds. And it's like drives me crazy because like it's so hard to get donations, like and it takes so much energy doing these fucking fundraisers and selling fucking t-shirts, and it's like we just need more resources. So yeah, so right now it's just like 1 week a month, and that's like felt fairly sustainable, even though it's still a real challenge.
Yeah. So the 3 weeks, let's say, of the month that you are not there, you're not how do you say? There's not another clinic coming to substitute you. No.
Oh yeah. So, well, not a herbal medicine one, but like there's some like there's an amazing group called No Borders Medics who like operate in Dunkirk, who are like fucking awesome, like good politics. And they have like a permanent presence. And there's also, you know, like Médecins Sans Frontières, and like there's another UK first aid team called FAST. And yeah, so there is like some healthcare provision, and also like in the area there is like a unit in the hospital that will see people without papers. But a lot of the refugees like don't even know it exists. So a large part of what we do with the clinic is information. Like we have leaflets translated into like 20 languages where like how people can find the hospital, where they can find like the food distribution, where they can find clothes distribution. And yeah, like our goal is always to make sure like the people that need to go to hospital are like supported to go to hospital. And we do a lot of like advocacy like in the hospital, because you know like people are fucking racist, so like it helps if there's like this fucking white volunteer speaking French like to help them. So yeah, but the 3 weeks like in between the trip, like that's when we're doing like the other things like the medicine making and the fundraising and like all of this stuff.
Okay. And also, how do you how is it with the police? Like, do you struggle with them? Because is it legal for you to stay there with the clinic?
Yeah, so like it's a bit weird in herbal medicine in France with herbal medicine. It's like actually illegal to practice without like being a doctor, but we have like French doctors in the project, which helps. But yeah, like you do get harassment from the police to a point, you know, where they want to check your papers and stuff like this. But like it's nothing compared to what like, you know, the refugees go through with the police.
Of course.
But I did like a few years ago, like my van got like completely smashed in by fascists. who, because I had like an altercation with the police, like, and like they were trying, like we were trying to distribute at a site, they were trying to block us, like I was kind of arguing with them. And then like at like 5 o'clock the next morning, like I heard this bang, and I like opened the window, and like my windscreen had got like a brick through it. But you know, within a couple of hours, like we hired another vehicle, and I did a crowdfunder and like managed to replace the screen and stuff. But unfortunately now, like the far right, especially from England, are like coming to fucking France to like target people on the move and to target volunteers. So I think, yeah, things have always been like tense, but I have, you know, I worry about this stuff just like escalating and escalating. But yeah, we'll see where things go.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, such a huge work. Wow, really. It's amazing to use the herbal, I mean, for this kind of help, this kind of support. It's so stressing, all the repression there is in this world. It's crazy, and it's always getting worse. I cannot.
Yeah.
It's Anyway, okay. Okay. Well, I kind of asked you so many things. You told us so many amazing information. So I'd say, if you want to add anything else, we could keep talking for hours, but I'd say maybe.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do have to leave in a second. But I guess I forgot to say in the beginning, like with these books, that I have a book called Herbalism and State Violence, which talks about all of this stuff, like all of these different projects, like how to make like herbal care packages for people experiencing repression, like all about the clinic in Calais and our different recipes, and how to work with the nervous system. And yeah, it's only in English, but like if anyone is interested in this work, like you can buy it as like a physical book from Active Distribution, or you can buy it as like an ebook on my website. And in the winter, like PM Press are going to be publishing it as well. But yeah, like this book, I guess, like brings together like everything we've been talking about in one place. So maybe that's a good resource to finish with.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for this. Well, I will finish. So I'll just say that, as you were saying, you have a way of accepting donations. So I'll just say that on your website, there is the way of giving you donations for all the different projects you do. And of course, I will copy the link of your website on the podcast page of this episode.
Amazing.
So yeah, listeners can find it. And yeah, I really thank you so much. I don't know if you really have to leave, no worries. Otherwise, I would ask you the plant story.
Oh yeah, shit. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I can just say again about like the dandelion, that like this was my gateway herb of like finding this herb in the prison garden and sleeping with it under my pillow. And like, yeah, like you can read about this story in the Prisoner's Herbal book.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's a very nice story. Yeah, very cute also. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much then. It's been
Thank you.
So important. Thank you again so much, Nicole.
And no problem.
Yeah, keep in touch. And the Wombat radio microphones are open for other projects that you will manage to do in the future.
Perfect. All right. Take care. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Cheers. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the Frontline Herbalism podcast. You can find the transcript, the links, all the resources from the show at solidarityapothecary.org/podcast.